Action.
Do you want a beach?
Say again?
Oh, hello, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm recording.
Oh, you're recording all the lips. Righto, so just...
Action. Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Manuela Sieber, and I'm the CEO and founder of Australia Immigration Australia. We are immigration lawyers, migration agents, and education agents, and we assist migrants with visas and immigration to Australia. And we work with individuals as well as with employers. So we have corporate clients. And I understand most of you are business owners. Who here is a business owner? Yeah, that's pretty much the whole room. And who here is from overseas? Oh, this is today's agenda, by the way. So this is what I will be covering in my 10 minutes. And who is from overseas? Yeah, that's pretty much, would you say 70% of the room? That's incredible. Wow.
Aren't we all?
Pardon?
I said, aren't we all?
No. You stole that.
And who works with people from overseas? Yeah, that's a good, I would say a good 30% of the room. Excellent. So I'm very proud to say I have a multicultural team, and all my team members are from overseas. So including myself, I'm a migrant from Germany. I migrated 12 and a half years ago as a very poor backpacker, traveling around Australia, looking for adventure, having a great time. And then after 2 years traveling all around Australia in a van, I thought, okay, it's time to get serious. And then I found an employer in the Northern Territory in Darwin who sponsored me. So I know from my own experience what it's like to go through the process from both sides, as a as a migrant, as an applicant, as well as now from the employer side. Yeah, so who is an employer or an employee sponsoring people from overseas? No one yet. Great. Well, let me tell you all about it then. Yeah, because it's actually not as complicated as people think. So most employers think that sponsoring someone is a difficult process and it's expensive. Now, yes, so it is not super easy. It is quite complex, but that's why there's people like me who do that as a job, as a business. We do that every day, all day. And yes, there is expenses. However, you will get your return on investment. And I will explain that a little bit later on. So 53% of my clients are thriving business owners who sponsor people from overseas. And especially during current times, Australia has been closed for nearly now 19 months. So businesses struggle. Is anyone struggling finding the right team members, the right staff? Yeah, a few people, yeah. So really, the benefits of sponsoring someone from overseas, they outweigh the costs and the challenges. And today I will explain to you how to make hiring and sponsoring a success and scale your business. So this is a review from Paul. Last week we learned about the Google reviews and the Facebook reviews. So this is a genuine review from one of my corporate clients, Paul. And he owns a multinational company in the high security sector. His headquarters are in Australia, and he also has branches in East Timor and the Philippines. He needed someone very specific who also spoke the languages of these different countries. So Tetum for Philippines, Tetum for Timor, and Tagalog for Philippines, as well as English. And he was really desperate, and really overwhelmed with this whole process until he met me. And so we went through the process. It took some time. It took several months. But yeah, this is the outcome. What he thought the process was like to work with me and my team. this is an overview of what industries in particular rely on migrant workers. And in particular, I mean, we're meeting here today in a cafe, right? And you may have noticed that some of the staff, you know, they look a little bit different and they have an accent. So hospitality is one of the predominant sectors where they sponsor workers from overseas. So for example, restaurants and cafes, they can sponsor chefs, they can sponsor front of house staff, like restaurant managers, for example, cooks, and so on. As well as tourism, so Marion, you could, for example, sponsor a hotel or accommodation manager and several other people. Yeah. And then there's other sectors, for example, IT and tech. Yeah, so there's lots of migrants, for example, from India coming for tech and IT. We've got agriculture, so all the seasonal workers. We've got health, childcare, aged care, and construction. And there's many, many more. So there is a skills list, which lists like hundreds of occupations that can be sponsored. Yeah, so this is very important that the occupation is on that list. Did you know that Australia is the size of Europe? Yeah. It's crazy if you think about that. Like I'm
same size as the main 48 states of the USA.
There you go.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's huge. And I drove literally all around. It took me 2 years. With some breaks in between, of course. But yeah, so it's huge. So I'm from Germany, small country, huge population. So we've got over 80 million people in Germany. In Australia, we've got 25.8. So I think it's really, evident that that immigration is really, really, really important for the economy. Yeah, in Australia, in particular. So. Why sponsor workers from overseas? Well, firstly, it is of course with regards to the skills shortage. So you may have, a certain area in your business that you just can't find an Australian to do the job. They may not have the required skills. They may not have the required language skills. And other specific knowledge, yeah. So filling the skills gap is one of the major reasons why you would be thinking about sponsoring someone. And also, so there's two magic words, and they're here on the slides. It's retention and loyalty, because you can sponsor a migrant worker for up to 5 to 6 years. So imagine that. You train someone in the very beginning, and then you have them for 5 to 6 years. And mind you, sometimes employers are like, yeah, but what if they don't perform, or what if things happen in my business? Well, there's always, if there's changes in your business, of course, you don't have to keep them on. So it's not like a lifetime sentence, okay? So in that regard, there's flexibility. But yeah, I mean, retaining someone is cheaper than recruiting. Would you agree with that? Yeah? Yeah. It's saving your time, money, and energy. And it's also really good for the business image and the morale and the team spirit if people are, building the team with each other. And this is in particular in regional areas. Now we are here on the Gold Coast, which is actually for immigrational purposes considered to be regional. There is industries with high turnovers. Now, obviously, Gold Coast is not as regional as, for example, Northern Territory or WA. Yeah. So I have clients all around Australia. However, in particular in regional areas such as Northern Territory, WA, and also down south. The second major word is loyalty, because when you sponsor a migrant worker, you're not only giving them a job, you're also giving them a ticket to their dream life in Australia. And I know that from my own experience, because after 2 years traveling around, I thought, yeah, I want to stay. And when I found that sponsor, that employer who sponsored me, the gratitude I've had for that employer and for this opportunity was just incredible. and I work bloody hard. Probably the hardest I have worked ever as an employee. Of course, now as a business owner, we all know it never stops. So yeah, in summary, sponsoring a migrant worker will definitely give you return on investment times indefinite. Yeah. Now, how can you sponsor? There's 3 key factors. Firstly, you need to be an Australian business, and we are all here in Australia, so we're all Australian businesses. Secondly, ideally you need to have operated lawfully for at least 12 months in Australia. However, there is exemptions for startups. It's just, again, a little bit more paperwork. And you, of course, you need to have good finances, and you need to show that you're able to afford to employ this person and pay their salary, the reasonable salary, as well as their super. But these are the 3 key factors, and I mean there's lots more, but that's the 3 main things. So if you meet these 3 things, then we can talk. So what to look for when sponsoring? So firstly, there's a big difference between if that person is onshore, so here in Australia, or offshore. And of course, especially during current times, if someone is offshore, unless they have a really, really specific skill, then it is rather challenging currently to get someone in. Having said that, borders are supposed to open next month. So my fingers and toes and everything I have is crossed for next month. But of course, if they're onshore, that means the process is just really a lot faster, because it means they already have a visa, they're already in the system, and it just goes a bit faster. If they're onshore, you need to make sure that they have a valid visa. So you as a business owner and I as a migration agent, we can do so-called legal checks. So they are verification checks. They need to have the required skills, so the required qualifications and work experience. So for example, using the chef again, a chef in a restaurant, they need to have at least a diploma or whatever is equivalent from their home country, as well as at least 2 years of experience. If there's lots of chefs and lots of tradies may not have the formal qualifications, that's fine, then they can make up for it with more work experience. So the chef, for example, if they have 5 years of working as a chef, then they don't need qualifications. English language skills, so that's important, because if they're not from an English-speaking country, they need to sit an English test. So I'm from Germany. I went through this. I had to sit this English test, and it's not pleasant. But you just obviously, especially in certain professions, you got to be able to speak. You got to be able to communicate. Then the next thing that I mentioned earlier already, this skill and the occupation has to be on that list. Now these occupation lists, they're getting updated very frequently. Okay, and so there's a federal list for all of Australia, and then there's also lists for each state. Now Queensland, unfortunately, they are the trouble child, and is it yours? And so these lists, they close and open, and so Queensland currently, they have been closed for a few months now. So this is in Queensland, but we can navigate around that. Great. So please, if you either considering of sponsoring someone yourself in your business, yeah, please come and have a chat with me. I'm here pretty much every Thursday. I haven't missed a single Thursday. I love this room. Yes, I am. So yeah, please just have a chat with me. Or if you know of someone, like that can be someone else, another business owner, or we also do family visas, for example, and all types of other visas. So we do partner visas, we do literally everything. There's more than 100 different types. So today I only talked about one type, the employer-sponsored visas. So yeah, if you have anyone who you think may need to speak with me, I'm more than happy to have a chat. And yeah, this is how you can connect with me. I'm everywhere. I'm everywhere. So here I am in the flesh, but you can find me online. I'm very present online. I have a YouTube channel. I go live a couple of times a week. As you can see, there's cameras. So yes, please reach out. And thank you so much.